Hey everybody, you're watching Four Downs. I'm here with Zac Elder and Dan Carp from the Chronicle. I'm Kasper, Kubica, and it's been a great past 2 weeks for Duke football. We're coming in 2-0 for the first time since '98 to our first ACC game of the year. It's against Georgia Tech, but there's been some changes to the quarterback position. Anthony Boone is out with a collarbone injury, and we have Brandon Kinnett filling in. What do you guys think is going to happen with that?
Well, it always hurts when you lose your starting quarterback, Kasper, and Coach Cutcliffe alluded to that in his press conference on Tuesday afternoon. But there's some good news for Duke, and that's that Brandon Kinnett came in against Memphis and in almost 3 full quarters threw for 2 touchdowns and 198 yards.
And you see, Brandon Kinnett, he's always been used as a run threat in the past. He's your goal line guy. He's your wildcat quarterback, or at least that's what he was last year when he kind of played that phantom role for Duke. But last week, 14 of 21 throwing, I think they take that from any quarterback who comes into the game. He managed the offense incredibly well, and the guys look really comfortable playing with him.
They do, and Brandon has been described as a vocal leader, but last week he definitely led with his performance as well. I'll be interested to see if he can do the same thing and put up the same numbers against Georgia Tech this weekend.
Actually, earlier this week we caught up with senior cornerback Ross COCKRELL, and he talked about Duke's quarterback change and what it might mean for the team. Here's the clip.
Anthony's a great person and a great leader, and I think he's going to continue to be that for us. He's going to continue to be a vocal leader. He's going to continue to be out there and support and encourage our guys, and that's the most important thing. I think Boone is obviously it's a tough injury, but I expect him to come back and be even better.
Georgia Tech is going to be a tough team to go against. We've lost to them for the past 9 years. In particular, recent years, their spread option scheme has been very difficult to stop. How do you think our defense is going to handle that this year?
I think they're better equipped to handle it than they ever have been before. How that actually plays out on the field Saturday remains to be seen. You're talking about a Duke team that gave up 5 yards a carry, couldn't really stop the run last year, especially in Atlanta against Georgia Tech. But this year, only 2.7 yards a carry they've given up in games against NC Central and Memphis. That being said, Georgia Tech is one of the best rushing teams in the FBS, a completely different level of competition.
On Tuesday, Coach Cutcliffe said, stopping the option is easy. Put one guy on the dive, one guy on the pitch, and one guy on the quarterback. In reality, I don't think it's that simple. Although Duke really shut down NC Central and Memphis, especially Kenny Ananiki, the 6th-year senior defensive end, was a menace in the backfield. I really don't see the Blue Devils having the same success against Georgia Tech that they've had in the past 2 weeks.
Well, adding to that difficulty is the very different paces on offense that Georgia Tech and the Blue Devils have. How do you think that's going to factor into Saturday's game?
It could be a really big disadvantage for Duke when you look at it. Duke moves just about as fast as anybody in the country does on offense, which normally is good because it keeps opposing defenses on their toes. But on the flip side, with that triple option scheme that Georgia Tech is running, they're going to make that Duke defense stay out on the field for maybe 7-8 minutes at a time. They scored on drives of almost 18 plays in the game last year. It's going to be really difficult for Duke to stay in shape out there.
And with the quick pace of the Duke offense, they're really not giving the Duke defense much time to rest. And the combination of Georgia Tech's very slow style of play and Duke's very quick style of play, oftentimes scoring on drives of 2 to 3 minutes, could prove to be a fatal combination for Duke's defense.
Well, Zac, Dan, we're going up against quite a daunting piece of history here. 9 years of consecutive losses. At the same time, it's our first time going into this game 2-0 since '98. So what's the prediction?
Georgia Tech's really had Duke's number in the past. I think that Duke's going to play better than they did last year this weekend, but I don't know if it's going to be quite good enough. I like what I've seen so far out of Brandon Kinnett, but I don't think he's going to be able to lead Duke to 2 consecutive wins as Duke's new quarterback. So I say Georgia Tech's going to take this one 27-17.
Georgia Tech beat Elon 70-0 in week 1. Now, I don't think it'll be quite as lopsided this weekend, but I've got the Yellow Jackets 35-21.
Well, we'll see what happens. Here for Zac Elder and Dan Carp, I'm Kasper Kubica. Thanks for watching Four Downs.